It's a new day here at Mario & Son, and today we're dealing with multiple blade swaps on all of our saws. And it's just my luck. This is the kind of thing that I have to deal with while trying to fabricate the most geometrically complex wall for a client who, by the way, is en route from New York as we speak. So while Michael is swapping the blade on the combi cut, I'm gonna go switch a blade on the Zeta just a little bit bigger than that. This is it. This is the last panel that we're producing. I'm gonna be swapping over to my third 28-inch granite blade for this wall. The material's super abrasive. It wears the matrix down extremely quickly. Swapping out the blade is a must. Once you've done a tool swap, it's very important to make sure that whatever physical tool is on the head of the machine matches in the computer as well. If you forget that step, you could easily crash your head, you could wreck a piece, and that's not an option. We are all racing against the clock for the next 2 days. I cannot tell you how good it feels to have the last piece on the table. This is piece number 20. If piece 20 isn't perfect, we don't have a wall, and he's gonna be here tomorrow. We are literally a few chisels and a sandblast or two away from completion. Nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, is gonna keep us from completing this wall for Buddy tomorrow.
Sandblasting is kind of fun. You feel like you're kind of in a bomb squad kind of experiment. You feel like you're kind of playing around with things that are dangerous. You know, it's kind of fun. Today we're sandblasting with glass beads. We're using it to basically abrade the surface and get us a quality finish that's a little bit more uniform. When I'm done chiseling, you know, there's tool marks left from where I've chiseled. The sandblasting basically removes those tool marks and leaves me with a nice even finish. It's a long, tedious process to get these slabs to this point. Joe Antra arrives tomorrow. We don't have a whole lot of time to waste. We're back at the shop this morning. The last and final piece is off the machine, ready for me, and I can't wait to get started on it. Today's the day. Joe Antra's on his way in. We'll get him loaded up and get him on his way. And I'm sure he'll be happy with the product. So while Joe makes his way into the shop, I'm going to prep this last piece, take the supports off of it so I can display the whole work for him to see before we load it all up for him. So good to see Joe again. He's never been to our shop before, so it'll be fun to show him around, and obviously what we've been working on for the last 2 months. So we're at the QC area. We have all the finished panels laid out so Joe can inspect them. We're inspecting each panel one by one. It's a good time for him to kind of ask questions on how they go together and see how everything works. I'm showing Joe that some of the panels are straight, some of the panels are curved because some of the wall is curved. Everything's sort of like a cylinder as it comes down. The wall is straight and it comes down as an angle, but it's also coming down on a slant because it has water coming down it. Everything's numbered, so it'll go all in the crates numbered, so when they get it back to New York, they can just pull them out of the crates and set them up on the walls so everything's all ready to go for them. Well, Joe showed up at our shop with a truck that was a little smaller than we anticipated. These are some heavy crates. We use a forklift to load them up. And we just gotta be real careful loading up his rental truck so we don't damage it and he doesn't get dinged. It was great hanging out with Joe today. It's an honor to be trusted by another fabricator to help them with their work. Now this is in the hands of the installers, and it's all up to them. We're back at the shop this morning. Today we're starting a new project for the Gary Sinise Foundation. It's a marble award that will be presented in Las Vegas. Brandon and I are starting the process from a raw marble block that'll be transformed into a beautiful award. The award is a marble sculpture that was commissioned by the Natural Stone Institute. They came to me to design it and to fabricate it. This is the second year that we've done it, and we will continue to do it year after year. So we started with a block of Carrara marble, and we've cut it down to size, and now we've taken a diamond candle tool, and we are starting to probe into the block and starting to shape out the wings. The first pass, what you see here is the tools are approaching the sculpture at different angles to be able to get into different pockets. And being that this is a multi-axis machine, we'll approach it at this angle first, and it'll come around and do this whatever angles it can get at. And the machine will do as much work as we can, and then I'll come in by hand and do the rest. For the final pass, we switch tools and go with a sharper bit. It's actually for marble, we can actually use carbide. It's a much sharper bit, it gives us a much finer detail. It gets into the nooks and crannies a little bit more. It's a very slow process. It'll run overnight, and it'll do its thing. When I come back in the morning, it'll be finished, hopefully. Back at the shop this morning, everything looks great, piece looks beautiful, and I'm ready to do my thing. I have very little time and a lot to do, so let's get to it. First thing I have to do is remove the stock material. It's a risky thing because the tips of the wings are very fragile, and when you're removing the material, the bulk of the material can take the wingtips with it. The more you cut off, the more that gets revealed, and you have to be careful because you want to see things kind of happen, and sometimes you have to slow yourself down because that's how mistakes can get made. If I break something, I can do it again, but I don't have the time for that. I have a plane to catch. I got people waiting for this. We are under a deadline. The detailing of these pieces, I use traditional tools, but then again, I also use your run-of-the-mill Dremel tools as well. You know, when you're doing real fine detailing like this, you have to get, diamond tools that are available on the market. So not everything can get done with a Dremel. When we get into the filers, they're actually called, in the tray, they're called rifflers. We use those to kind of file the details in and get real fine details that way. Beyond that, we start the sanding process to get it smoother and smoother. This particular piece, the wings will be taken to what we call a hone finish. I'll take it to maybe a 220 grit. We'll continue to sand that finer and finer and finer up to about 3,000 grit. One of the coolest things about this award is we bring it to Vegas so we can see it being presented. Because we put so much time and effort into this, so it's important to me to see this award's journey from inception to handoff. I'm taking this over to my brother's business now. He has an engraving business, and we're going to put the name in it. And once the name goes in it, it becomes an actual item at that point. It becomes personal. With the detail, the small details that we're doing with the engraving, it's best done with the laser, and that's why we're bringing it to my brother. While Mike finishes up the engraving, Michaela's out at Panhandle Red getting the leather work done for the box that we created for the award. Presentation's everything. There's a lot of thought that went into this award. We can simply just hand it over, or we can hand it to them in the Mario and Son way and give it to it in a nice presentation box, and that's how we choose to do it. Now that the straps are being finalized, it's time to head back to the shop for some gold leafing. With the award, the engraved details, we're going to actually use gold leaf. We're actually using 24 karat gold to basically paint in just like the old masters did. And give the award a little bit of bling. The gold leaf is something that's typically done in a lot of these awards. It adds a little bit of, I guess, luxury to it, and an award of this caliber, I think, kind of calls for something like that. The award's in its final stages. Couldn't be happier with how it's looking. So all that's left is to hop on a plane to Vegas and shake this man's hand.
Today, I'd like to introduce you to one of our Gary Sinise Foundation ambassadors.
It's really great to be here and seeing my award up there and being presented to such prestigious people.
If you want to know how to feel as good as I do right now, find a committee member and find out how you can participate. Because there's no better feeling than handing over one of these homes. Thank you again.
It's really quite an honor to know that it's being received very well. And it's such a big part of this evening. I'm pretty moved with how the presenter is receiving the award. It's pretty awesome. He was pretty moved with the award itself and with his own contribution to the Gary Sinise Foundation and all that. So it ended up being kind of a big deal. And for us to have played a small role in that was pretty cool. And so that makes me feel it was all worthwhile. It was really awesome meeting Sergeant Anderson. It made me really proud to be part of this because speaking with him, he was just a proud American the whole time. But to see his reaction, it was really cool to be part of that. And you don't get to see that from our industry too much, how it affects other people. To him, and to all veterans, we thank you for your service. And if that can be my little contribution to that, then by all means, we are happy to do so. So here in Vegas, mission accomplished. But I got to get back to Washington because I have a container from Italy coming, like tomorrow.